We'll come to order. I want to thank our witnesses for being here today to discuss the Transition Assistance Program and the role that each one of these departments plays in helping our service members transition from being an active duty service member, productive member of the military, to a productive member of society as a civilian. I want to make sure that we adhere to our strict nonpartisan position, the spirit of this committee, and I know Mr. Pappas shares my intention there. He's a good man. As a former SEAL, I served our country for 26 years, and I have firsthand knowledge of how difficult it can be to go from being a military member to being a civilian. And I'm not kidding you, I used to wake up for like 2 years after I retired wondering where my gun was. That's not a joke. So 200,000 military personnel leave the service each year, and for many of them, it's a time for them to grow. It's also a time, that 24-month period of time is when our service members wind up committing suicide because they lose their identity, they lose their uniform, they lose their rank. The joke with the spouses are twice the husband and half the paycheck. And you all know that. I see all these old grizzly war dogs back there. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. So we got to do something. The bridging mechanism has to start while we're in the service. And Mr. Baird, you're here today from the DOD, and I can't tell you how thankful I am. And I also can't tell you how pathetic it is that I have to be so thankful that you guys showed up. Check? That's how these committees work. So thank you for being here. I don't know if it's because I'm on HASC and I got your paycheck now too. I don't know. I don't care. You're here, and I appreciate it. So we went from about 25% to 52%. So that is an extraordinarily huge failure rate for the people that go to TAP. That's real. And we got everybody's fit reps here. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, fit reps and OERs and whatever. There's no block on here for participation of troops that go to TAP. It's a 175-page document. It's like 150 pages into a 175-page document from the Navy. It mentions TAP in a single sentence. So what my intention is to make this work. And I spoke to these three folks yesterday in my office in private, and I appreciate you guys showing up to do that so we could work through some things in long form interview, not like this. But I do appreciate that, but we can do better, period. And we need to have metrics so we understand if we're doing better. And I expect that out of you. So 2019, we worked to modernize the TAP program. I think we did sort of a good job. I wasn't here at the time. Were you in Congress then? Yes. You were? Okay, so it's Mr. Pappas' fault. Just kidding. We did an okay job, and we didn't do the best job, and I get it. So we got 48% of service members that are beginning the process of TAP in advance. 48%, gentlemen, ladies, and that's unacceptable, and we're just going to do better. Last year I introduced the ETS Act to hold DOD accountable, and that's the department. What I've learned from being here is I can't hold a department or an office accountable, but I want to hold individual officers accountable, make sure they do not get promoted, they don't pass go, they don't get $200 if their people aren't going to TAP. We start burning these people down with shoulder boards, it'll be fixed immediately, and that is my intent. So with that, I'd like to yield to my ranking member, Mr. Pappas. The gentlelady yields back. The chair now recognizes myself for 5 minutes in the third person, which is never just going to not be weird. Hey, I'm going to take a point of personal privilege before we start that clock. I just want to cover something that Mr. Pappas referenced in his opening statements. So currently the DOD is deployed to about 60 countries at any given time, and that's not going to change. And when someone joins the military and they decide to transition from one gender to another, that's a 2 to 3 to 4 year process where people are taking hormones and then having some very, very absolutely brutal, barbaric surgeries, and they're non-deployable at that point. And so if someone decides to do this, and that's up to them. Chris Beck is the first openly transgender Navy SEAL, and he's a really good friend of mine, and he's a guy now again. You know, he went back and forth. But he's a really good friend of mine, and I've known him for 30 years, and he's a good man, and he's a solid operator. He's a frogman, and we didn't care what was going on. But he got out of the military and then decided to do this. And here's why that's so important. When we say that people are overseas in 60 countries, I have to leave my wife and children, or a wife has to leave her husband or her, wife. We don't care what you're doing in your personal time, but we got to leave our kids and potentially get killed because someone is doing this. And that's, Mr. Pappas, the reason that I agree with the current policy, and I understand and I respect you tremendously. I just want to make that very clear. Someone is going to leave their family to forward deploy at all times, and that's all I have to say about that. Ma'am, Ms. Devlin, I can't tell you how excited I am that Lori Chavez-Reimers, the new secretary, oh my gosh. So did you ever see the movie The Other Guys? No. Watch it, Marky Mark, Will Ferrell, it's great. They did Fresh Start. So we're doing a fresh start. Now, I saw you sneak in there, Rodriguez. Stand up, sir. Yeah, oh yeah, you try to, yeah, Nice to see you. Oh yeah, try to sneak in. Didn't work. Fresh start, ma'am, with you guys, and I expect a lot out of you. I expect a lot out of Lori, and I know she can perform. President Trump expects a lot out of you and a lot out of Lori, and so does the entire country, not just our veterans community. So you guys are in good hands, and I expect the best out of you. Okay, that's enough of that. Okay, Mr. Baird, do you consider TAP a retention tool?
Yes, sir, I do.
Why?
Because those folks who go out into the field and do TAP, and if they do it right, then I see the benefits of being in the military.
Yep.
So I think it's a great retention tool.
Okay, you're correct, sir, and they talk to each other. Our vets talk to each other.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? And it gets around if it's terrible. And so it is a retention tool. And as Mr. Pappas said, it's a national security issue. Mr. Green, you gave an anecdote about Jessica and one other person, right? But 52% of folks go to this program. That means 48% don't. 200,000 enlisted math. It's about 96,000 people you can't give me an anecdote for a year. So although I appreciate Jessica and her job, there's 96,000 other people you can't give me an anecdote for because they didn't go to TAP, and that, sir, is unacceptable. We talked in private, Ms. Yount. I asked you a couple questions yesterday, and there's a Solid Start program. You're doing it. Here's the legislation. We pulled it up, and this is highlighted. So it says VA employees must call veterans for outreach purposes, right?
Correct.
And survey indicates veterans prefer communication methods other than a phone call. They like texting and, chatting and whatnot. Okay, so the OGC interpreted this to be a voice phone call when it says calling each veteran. So who is the OGC that made this decision?
That's VA's Office of General Counsel.
Who is the person? I asked you specifically yesterday.
Unfortunately, we were unable to get
You're
the
excused.
individual's name.
You are excused. Now, you will respect this committee, ma'am. Mr. Green, there have been cuts by DOJ, and I'll be very frank with you. The messaging and how these guys are getting the word out is not okay. They're just not doing a good job of it, Mr. Pappas. They aren't. And we are not beholden to any administration. We're not. We're beholden to our constituents and our veterans. So I'm just going to say it out loud. What they're trying to do is good and righteous at DOJ. How they're getting the message across is confusing, and it's terrifying our veterans, right? I mean, he's getting calls, I'm getting calls, Morgan, you get calls, you guys get calls? But I want to ask you this question. Is there a measurable, appreciative degradation of your ability from the Department of Veterans Affairs or the Department of Labor, ma'am, to deliver services to our veterans due to this DOJ stuff?
No, sir.
Okay. So, ma'am?
No, sir.
Okay, so here's what we got to do. We got to quit fear-mongering with veterans and our seniors and hungry kids. I was raised on welfare. I went to bed hungry. I don't like that. We're not cutting SNAP benefits. We're not cutting WIC. As a matter of fact, we increased it by $500 million. We're not cutting veterans benefits. And there's 8 folks that were released from the Toma VA Healthcare Center where I get my care, and I love them. And I just called Karen, she runs the place, and I said, Karen, has there been any degradation of your ability to provide medical care to our veterans? And she said no. So I'm just gonna ask everybody on both sides of the aisle and external folks to quit fear-mongering. Because when I ask you, Mr. Green, you're a subject matter expert. Ms. Devlin, subject matter expert. You know what you're talking about, right? So when you say there's no degradation of your ability to provide services to our veterans, I take you at your word. And so let's just stop doing that. That's all I'm gonna ask. So Mr. Mullins yields back. The chair now recognizes myself for 5 minutes again. Hey, I'm gonna cover this again. I'm gonna ask, Ms. Craig, how much money do you guys get from the government?
Actually, Congressman, I'm not sure.
Ms. O'Brien?
I don't believe any.
We have one solar energy grant from the Department of Energy.
How about from the VA? From the VA? Do you get any money from the VA?
Do we?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Ms. Carson?
The IVMF receives federal grants from the Small Business Administration and Commerce.
Okay, but not the VA.
Correct.
Correct. Mr. Lewis?
No dollars from the VA.
0. Ms. Tillman?
No dollars from the VA.
Okay, so once
or any
again,
federal
I'm not going to tolerate anybody fear-mongering with my veterans, period. So we had the DOD here, we had everybody here, the VA here. There has not been a single incident that I can find anywhere where there has been even the most minuscule degradation of our ability to provide services or education benefits, medical benefits to our veterans. So knock it off. Write that down. And if any of you hear about any of that, you call me personally. We're not going to tolerate it. I met Elon Musk's #1 person for the VA, not somebody cleaning the toilets. The first words out of his mouth was, "We will never cut our veterans' benefits, period." And I said, that's great. That was your opener, because mine was going to be, if you try cutting our veterans' benefits, I'll rip your, oh, I almost just seen your chief right there. Okay? We're not going to do it. They're not doing it. We're not doing it. He's not doing it. So knock it off. Period. Done with that. Stupid. Ms. Craig, 11 agencies are involved in the Transition Assistance Program. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, Chairman, you said
Like 11 agencies are involved in the TAP.
I believe the number.
Ms. Carson, who said that?
I think the number's
You did?
higher than that.
Ms. O'Brien and I both said that.
Okay, so 11, how many people? Like, how many people out of these 11 agencies? Full-time equivalents, do you have any idea?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, well, it's more than 11, I'm gonna say. So if we have more than 11 agencies involved in something and we have a 52% success rate, that's a failure. And so what we could probably, surmise from this is that more agencies doesn't necessarily mean more better. Okay? That's how enlisted people talk. So what we need to do is make sure across the board, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, everybody has the ability to go to this TAP program. And here's what's gonna change. Oh, sorry, Mr. Lewis, this is what you were trying to say earlier. You wanna hire veterans because they know where to be, when to be there, what to wear, and they're not high, right? Those are big things. Mr. Pappas is in the restaurant business. He knows what I'm talking about. Okay, nothing's changing here, nothing, until it is on here in a line item that a commissioned officer is held responsible. And let me tell you what I'm talking about. The difference between the retirement pay for an 05, which would be a squadron commander, a SEAL team commander, like a wing commander, the phone colonel. They're like, hey, Colonel Johnson, they're really Lieutenant Colonel, that's a phone colonel. The difference between the pay for an 05 and an 06 retirement is $3,000 a month. Let's hopefully they live, 40 years we did, 30 years? That's $1 million. It's $1 million difference between an 05 and 06 retirement. So if I go to these screwballs, I'm like, hey, dude, you don't have your people going to TAP, it's gonna cost you $1 million. You will have a 100% attendance rate. And that is my intention. So again, E7's making $27,000 annually. These guys are making $78,000 a month annually, 05s, 06s are $96,000 a month retirement. If I tell you right now, if anybody's paying attention here, all you people in charge of stuff, I'm coming for you. I am gunning for you, 05s and 06s. And you're trying to blame it on a first sergeant or a master chief? Nope, it's on you. And we will charge you $1 million if you don't use these programs because you're statutorily obligated to do so. I don't have any questions. You guys think I'm joking? I'm not. Okay. Whew. What do veterans bring to the workplace? Anger, apparently. I don't know. So listen, I want to thank y'all for being here today. For both panels, you're awesome. I really appreciate your work. Ma'am, you're killing it. However, Oshkosh is not my district. Sorry, I just got you. You got his right, though. So if there's anything we can do collectively as a committee, we will do it. And I know that's Mr. Pappas' intention. He's a good man. And we're going to do what we can to help you, regardless of your political party affiliation or what you do in your privacy of your own. We don't care. We just want better for our veterans, and I know you do. And I thank you very much. I think you're doing God's work. I now recognize Mr. Pappas for any closing. The gentleman yields back. I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous materials. Without objection, so ordered. This hearing is now adjourned.